Something we should all be doing, I hope that you're doing, is trying to learn from better climbers. And I don't mean podcasts and videos, specifically interviews. Even if the questions are great, it's hard to learn from a better climber if you're not watching them climb. So if you're in person with better climbers in the gym, outside, whatever, watch closely. Now, a couple of months ago, the Tension crew came over to climb in my home gym, the machine shop, and I wanted to share a few things that I learned watching that crew climb. Now, I meant to get this video out quite a bit earlier, but I've been working on a book, Adapt, Lessons Learned, Climbing 100 513s, and that's out for pre-sale now, so if you're interested, check it out. Now, I've done a lot of work with the Tension crew over the years, but I haven't spent a lot of time climbing with them. And Quinn was one of the climbers I didn't know at all. I'd talked to him on the internet. That's about it. And I knew coming into it that Quinn was a very good climber. He's climbed a lot of hard boulders. So I expected he was going to crush things. And of course, that's what happened. But one of the things that really I found really interesting was that Quinn made a comment to Carrie during the session about how he used to be stronger than he was good, but now things are starting to even out. And I don't know what Quinn used to be like, but watching his climbing, I would totally agree that he's got this great blend of very strong and very good. And that shows up in his confidence, the way that he moves. If you watch him on Jimmy's Webbed Feet in the video, it's a flash. It looks very, very easy. That boulder's much harder than he makes it look. You can see in the composure in his face when he makes the first jump, and then when he makes that jump cross to that push or pinch, you can watch his hand get into position before he even takes the hold, which he then takes very carefully and gingerly, even though it's a big jump cross and there's not much chance that his other hand is still supporting his weight. He's so composed the whole time. His control with his body indicates to me that it's more than just strength, because you can be strong and really kind of burrow your way through things. That's not what Quinn does at all. He's supremely confident in his ability. He's excited about climbing. He was so excited to come and climb on that wall, and seeing a climber that good get that excited about making up boulders really, really goes a long way. So I think it's really interesting that he's taken the time to say, am I strong or am I good? Which am I, which of those levels is higher, and how can I make the other level match? And I think he's obviously done that. Now, Michael, I've talked to Michael quite a bit. I've known Michael for a long time. I've never climbed with Michael up until this session. And I knew that he was a crimp master. I'd heard the stories. He's done a lot of really, really hard crimp boulders. So I expected he was going to come in and crush the crimps. He's a shorter climber, though, so I was sort of expecting that the big jump boulders would be pretty hard for him. He proved me wrong on Jimmy's Webbed Feet, flashing it, and it didn't look all that hard for him, but I was pretty positive that when it came to the boulder Lincoln Logs, that those giant moves were just going to be too much. And in fact, I made a comment to that effect, but I was wrong. Watching the commitment Michael climbed with was massive, more so than his crimp abilities. I suspect that his commitment plays into his crimp ability quite a bit, because he was fully 100% committed to those big jumps. And there's the moment near the end of the climb, things start to fall apart. The wheels are falling off, and he's got one really big move left that's quite a heady move. There's a wall pretty close to you. It feels a little out of control. I find that move really difficult. And he sort of rebaited on the move and then was able to recompose himself, get it back together, and make the move. That might have been the most impressive ascent of the day for me. It got me really excited to try that boulder. I had written that boulder off myself, and And it got me really excited to start trying it again. And that's become one of my winter projects now, is finishing that boulder, which is very anti-style for me. Maybe not as anti-style anymore as it used to be, but Michael got me excited to do that with that level of commitment. And Carrie, I've climbed with quite a bit, more than the rest of the tension crew for sure. She's climbed in the gym quite a few days with me. And it's been so much fun to watch her climbing grow over the years. And it was certainly ridiculously impressive watching her do the banana boulder on those tiny little crimps. But I suspected she would do that. I sort of expected that she would crush it. Now, I got to see her do that boulder several years ago. So comparing the two, she did it way easier this year, which was really fun to watch. Super, super casual. That is not a casual boulder by any means. Those holds are bad. And it was impressive to watch. But the most impressive thing about watching Carrie climb was watching her dig into the things that didn't fit right into her wheelhouse. So her climbing on Jimmy's web feet with those couple of jumps and the big open-handed holds, where it was a little harder for her, was the most impressive part of watching her climb for me. And I knew that she did that. I've sessioned with her enough times to know that that's something she does. But as she continues getting better and better, she just keeps leaning into that. And that's incredibly impressive to me and really motivates me to keep doing the same, which in my case is leaning into the little crimpy boulders that she's already really, really good at. But for me, the whole thing sort of came to one of the moments we see early in the tension video, trying Pinky in the Brain. I think that boulder is probably V6, maybe V7 now that the holds are getting a little more polished. And it's a really finicky, body position dependent, really nuanced boulder. And starting the session by saying, I think this boulder is only V6, can throw a lot of people off. A lot of people's egos, especially if they're really good climbers, or if they just think they're good climbers, their egos get really caught up in it. I've seen several strong climbers walk away from that boulder after just a couple of attempts because they realize that it's crushing their little fragile ego. This crew was not like that at all. None of them did the boulder first try. It took quite a while to do that boulder. It was probably the easiest boulder of the bunch, really. But by far the most finicky boulder. And watching them all persevere through that and have fun through it, not getting angry or upset or letting their egos get tied up in it, but really having genuine fun. And, Michael praised the boulder as, he grew up climbing in the South, and being able to put that level of nuance and body position dependency into an indoor boulder is hard. And Michael had the wherewithal and the space to be able to praise that, even though he was failing on it. They all ultimately did it. And that's because they didn't let their egos get super involved in it. So I think those are the kinds of things we need to look for in good climbers. When we're watching good climbers climb, whether that's indoors in the boulder field, whatever, watch their commitment, watch their confidence, watch their attitudes, watch the way they approach things as opposed to their beta or how strong are they. The things that we tend to normally go straight for, the obvious things, aren't the places that we stand to gain the most. So big thanks to that tension crew for coming out. I hope we can do it again very, very soon. And if you haven't watched that video yet, you should absolutely go and do that. The link to it is right there in the description. All right. I'll see you guys soon.